Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a deep dive into, well, Teespring.
Ooh, Teespring.
Yeah, but, not the usual stuff. Like, we're not just going to talk about setting up a shop.
Right.
We're assuming, you've at least dabbled, right? You know it's print on demand. So we're going deeper. We're going to talk about designing products that, practically sell themselves.
Yeah.
Marketing that doesn't make you feel icky. And how to scale without, pulling your hair out.
Yes.
So are you ready to dig in?
Absolutely. I think what's so interesting with Teespring is that a lot of people don't think about it as like a laboratory.
Oh, interesting.
It really is. Every campaign you do is an experiment.
Yeah.
And the data that Teespring gives you is amazing if you know how to use it.
Oh, that's such a great point. So, okay, I'm curious. Let's say someone's past the whole, set up your shop, create your account phase.
Right.
What is a concept with Teespring that people, even if they're having some success, what do they often misunderstand?
The algorithm. I think people think, oh, I just got to get my design in front of as many people as possible, right? But Teespring's algorithm actually rewards designs that have high engagement, especially early on.
Okay.
Like right when you launch. Those first few hours are really, really crucial.
So it's almost like you want to front load that marketing effort.
Exactly.
Not just, trickle it out over time.
Because that burst of activity really tells the algorithm, hey, this design is a winner. Let's show it to more people.
Oh, that's a great tip. So let's talk about designing for demand. We always hear about niching down. But is there a danger of becoming too niche to the point where you're really limiting your potential customer base?
Yeah, for sure. It's about finding that sweet spot, a niche that's passionate enough to buy, but also broad enough that you can grow. So think like yoga enthusiasts versus left-handed yogis who only practice on Tuesdays.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good distinction.
And speaking of appealing to your audience, let's talk about pricing strategy. A lot of people, I think, just default to competitive pricing. Let me just see what everyone else is charging and match it or go a little bit lower. But what if you have designs that are really unique?
Yeah, that's where value-based pricing comes in. If you're offering something truly different, something that solves a problem for people, or maybe it has a really strong emotional connection for someone, you can charge more. You should charge more. Don't just think, oh, it's a t-shirt, I can only charge this much.
So it's not just thinking about your profit margin. It's thinking about the perceived value that you're offering.
Exactly. And what's cool is you can use Teespring's analytics to test out different pricing strategies. So you could do a small campaign with a design at a lower price point, another one at a higher price point, and see what works better. It's all about experimentation. Let the data tell you.
The data, I love that. Data it's like having a secret weapon. But, I think sometimes people feel overwhelmed by data. So where would you suggest someone start if they want to start using Teespring's analytics effectively?
Yeah, so there's a metric that people often overlook, and it's called time to first purchase.
Oh, time to first purchase.
Yeah, and what this tells you is how quickly are people hitting that buy button after they land on your product page. So if it's taking a really long time, that might mean, maybe your design isn't that compelling. Maybe your product description isn't doing its job. Maybe your pricing's off.
Interesting. So it's not just about the overall sales. It's really understanding that customer journey and where are the hiccups.
Exactly. And that's where A/B testing comes in. Teespring doesn't have a built-in tool for this, but you can totally do it manually. So basically, you create two slightly different versions of your product page. Maybe you change the headline, maybe you tweak the description, maybe you even, change the main image a little bit. And then you split your traffic between them.
Oh, that's smart.
And see which one leads to a faster time to first purchase.
Wow, that's brilliant. So it's those little tweaks, right, that can make a big difference.
And that's the beauty of Teespring. It's a constant process of learning, testing, refining. Don't be afraid to experiment, analyze that data, adjust your approach. And that's really the key to long-term success on the platform.
I think that's what scares people, right? It's that experimentation. It's easy to get kind of stuck in that analysis paralysis. But but then there's the other side of it where it's just throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, let's talk about marketing, because it feels like everyone and their mom is check out my Teespring store.
Yeah.
How do you cut through the noise? How do you actually get people to notice your products?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? Yeah. And there's no one right answer, but something that people often overlook is community building.
Okay, so you mean going beyond just trying to sell all the time?
Exactly. It's about cultivating that connection with your target audience.
Right.
Because if someone feels like they're part of something, they're way more likely to support your brand.
Okay, so how do you do that? Because it's easy to say build a community, but how do you actually like put that into practice?
It's all about engagement. So don't just post product photos and like sale announcements. Start conversations, ask questions, do polls, behind the scenes stuff, make people feel like they're part of the journey.
So that applies to like social media, email, even your Teespring storefront itself.
Absolutely. Your storefront isn't just a list of products. It's a chance to tell your brand story. Like, what are your values? What inspired you to start this? What makes your designs unique? Let your personality shine through.
Yeah, I love that. It's like that human connection, reminding people there's a real person behind this brand. But okay, let's be real. We're all busy.
Right.
How do you manage that community building on top of everything else?
That's where automation and delegation come in. You don't have to do it all yourself. So tools like Buffer or Hootsuite can help you schedule your social media in advance. You can hire VAs to help you manage your email or even moderate your online communities.
Okay, so you've built this community, you're engaging with your audience, but you still need people to actually find your store in the first place.
Right.
Paid advertising can be a great option, but it can also be a total money pit. What are your thoughts on using, like Facebook ads, Google ads, all of that for Teespring?
Paid advertising can be super effective, but only if you do it right.
Right.
You can't just throw money at it and hope for the best. You got to understand your target audience, their interests, demographics, online behavior, all of that.
So it's all about the targeting, making sure your ads are actually seen by the people who are most likely to buy.
Exactly. And this is where those data analysis skills we talked about, they come in handy. Use Teespring's analytics to figure out who your current customers are. Like, what are their demographics? Where do they hang out online? What are they interested in? And then use that to make really targeted ads.
So it's not just about creating like a cool design and then hoping people find it.
Yeah.
It's being proactive, it's understanding your audience and using that data to make those marketing decisions.
Exactly. And one tactic that works really well for Teespring sellers is retargeting. So that's where you show ads to people who've already visited your store, or maybe they interacted with your brand in some way.
So they've already shown some interest. They're more likely to actually buy.
Exactly. Platforms like Facebook and Google, they make it super easy to set up retargeting campaigns. And they can be very effective, especially if you're doing like a limited time promotion or maybe you have a new product launch.
Okay. So let's say someone's like killing it on Teespring. They're starting to see those consistent sales. They're building that community. What's next? How do you go from like hustling to actually scaling a business?
That's when it gets really fun. And you have a few options. So one thing you can do is expand into new niches, new product categories. You don't have to just do t-shirts.
Right. Teespring has like hoodies, mugs, phone cases, tote bags, all sorts of stuff.
Right. And if you've already built a following in one niche, you can leverage that. Branch out into related areas. So let's say you're doing like yoga apparel, right? You could start doing yoga accessories like mats, blocks, meditation cushions, things like that.
Ooh, that's a good idea. So you're basically cross-selling to your existing audience. Like, give them more what they already love. But what if you want to go beyond just expanding your product line?
Another thing you can do is think outside of Teespring. So you could set up a Shopify store. That gives you a lot more control over your branding, your customer experience, your marketing.
So you're still using Teespring to fulfill the orders, but you're creating like a more personalized, professional online presence for your brand.
Exactly. And then you can integrate other sales channels like social media shopping, maybe even brick and mortar retail if you want to go that route.
So it's like thinking bigger, expanding your horizons, not being afraid to push those boundaries of what Teespring can do. It's really inspiring to see how creative people are getting. But with all that growth, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Any tips for staying sane, avoiding burnout?
Yeah, that's a great point. And something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. As you grow, you need to build a strong team. You need to delegate. You can't do it all yourself.
So are you talking about like hiring VAs, freelance designers, maybe even a marketing manager down the line?
Exactly. And it's not just about freeing up your time. It's about bringing in expertise that you might not have. So a good designer can really elevate your products. A savvy marketer can help you reach a larger audience. And a reliable VA can take care of all that admin stuff that can really bog you down.
So it's about building that system that works for you so you can focus on the bigger picture, the strategy.
Exactly. And remember, as you scale, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
Don't be afraid to pace yourself,
Yeah.
take breaks, and celebrate your successes along the way. Building a successful business, it takes time, effort, and a lot of resilience.
It's really cool to see how like Teespring can grow with you. It's
Yeah.
not just like a starting point. It's a tool you can really use to scale up. But I think what's coming through for me is like success on Teespring, it's not about luck.
No.
It's like a mindset.
Yeah, it's about approaching it like a business,
Yeah.
not just like a fun side hustle.
Right.
It's about, being data-driven, being customer-focused, always learning, always adapting.
And honestly, I think that applies to any online business.
Totally.
It's so easy to get like swept up in the hype.
Mm-hmm.
But it really comes down to like hard work, the strategy, and genuinely wanting to create something of value.
And resilience, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the online world it's constantly changing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Algorithms change, trends come and go, competition gets fierce. The people who succeed are the ones who can roll with it, learn from mistakes, keep trying new things.
I love that. It's like embracing the journey, not just the destination. And speaking of journeys, we've covered a lot of ground here, from like the nitty-gritty of the algorithm to, the big picture stuff, scaling, building a brand. Is there one takeaway that you really hope our listeners like leave with today?
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
I think Teespring is really a platform that rewards people who are willing to test things out, learn, try it again. Don't get stuck trying to find that perfect design or that perfect marketing strategy. Just start small, gather some data, look at the results, and just keep refining what you're doing.
It's like embrace the process. Don't expect it to happen overnight. Every campaign, every, interaction you have with your audience, it's a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly. And, as you're learning things, don't keep it all to yourself.
Yeah.
Like connect with other Teespring sellers, share what you've learned, learn from their experiences. The Teespring community is actually super supportive. There's so much knowledge out there. You just got to tap into it.
So find your tribe, embrace the experimenting, and remember, data is your friend. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with before we sign off?
Just this. Don't underestimate the power of a thank you. Building a Teespring business is about so much more than just like making a sale.
Right.
It's about connecting with people, building relationships, creating things that make people happy. So take the time to thank your customers. Let them know you appreciate them. It really does make a difference.
Oh, that's such a great point to end on. It's about that human touch. So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the world of Teespring, from the nuts and bolts to some really big picture strategy. We hope you've learned some things, gotten some actionable tips, maybe even a little bit of inspiration to launch your own Teespring adventure.
Yeah. Your Teespring empire awaits. Get out there and create.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep diving deep.